If you ever wondered what really happens after you die, felt uneasy about the idea of death, or questioned whether past lives are more than just stories, then you're in the right place. Stick with me until the end because I'll not only answer these profound questions, but also share personal experiences that led me to uncover the truths that I'll reveal in this video. Now, before we dive in, let me quickly introduce myself. Hello, my name is Christina Kiss, and welcome to a space where you can release, realign, and rediscover the limitless power within you. Here we explore clarity, freedom, and purpose as we uncover the mysteries of the soul together. Are you ready? Let's go down the rabbit hole. So, we're going to talk about the reincarnation loop. Okay. And this term, I've actually found it from Christina Lopes. So I'll link that video down below. However, I'm going to put a different spin on it. While some of the parts are the same, some of them are going to be different, and I'm going to add my own personal stories and experiences throughout this video. So, the reincarnation loop starts with life planning, and then it goes into Hangout, and then it goes into avatar programming, then it goes into birth and life, then the death process, life review, and again, it goes back to life planning. Now, what is life planning? So in life planning, you work with an ascended master and they will help you plan out your life based on what you wanted to learn this lifetime. And you're going to look at what your soul did in the past life and what's out of balance, and then decide on the appropriate lessons to learn this lifetime so you get your soul back into balance. Now, once you have the list of lessons you want to learn this lifetime to bring your soul back into balance, the ascended master is going to ask, hey, who wants to help the soul with X? Okay. And someone is going to step up and a soul contract is going to be put in place. And you will also do the same for other souls. Okay. And he's just going to keep on going through that list until all of those life lessons have a soul contract. Okay. Now, this is also the moment you choose your mom, your dad, potential siblings, because they're also there to teach you certain lessons. Okay. Once you have a soul contract for every lesson you want to learn, which is like the original wound. I don't like to call it wound, but it's the original experience that you wanted to learn and that you will go through this lifetime. Then you go back and make additional soul contracts with souls that will come into your life to trigger and hope that you remember that you're here to heal those original wounds, okay? And learn the lessons that you wanted to learn from them. And that's why you keep meeting the same individual with a different face, okay? They're all trying to let you know, hey, go back and heal this, okay? And usually these original wounds stem from childhood, okay? Usually, not all the time, because you can come in with past life stuff that also wants to be healed, okay? This is also where you plan exactly how and when you will meet these individuals. So they can trigger certain things so you can heal these original wounds and lessons you wanted to learn. This is also where you choose what lineage you're going to incarnate in. Okay. Now, this part is going to be a bit different depending on if you're a light worker or not. And if you are a light worker, you will choose a denser lineage to incarnate in so you can transmute that energy. Okay. So basically, on top of the life lessons you wanted to learn this lifetime, you will help undo some of the generational patterns and limiting beliefs that run in that lineage, and your ancestors will pass down on to you. Okay. And while these might have served them in their lifetime, it might be holding you back as you go through your life until you release it. And if you're not a light worker, then the lineage you choose to incarnate in won't have a dark, heavy past, at least not as heavy as one that a light worker would choose to incarnate in. The other path you can choose at this point is to be in a twin flame journey or not. Now, the concept of the twin flame is when one soul is split into two bodies, and one will be the divine feminine and the other one will be the divine masculine. And usually the divine feminine chooses a female body and the divine masculine chooses a male body and chooses to like the opposite sex. Okay, usually. Not all the time, but usually. And usually the soul that chose a divine feminine path is the soul that has um, that was heavily in their masculine and past lives, which again, I can clearly see myself because I'm so comfortable being in my masculine doing energy. And the soul that chose to be in a divine masculine path, that soul was in a heavy feminine energy in a past life. So he's going to come into this lifetime with a natural female receptive energy. Okay. And because of that imbalance, they choose to balance that out this lifetime as well. And the two plan when and where they will meet to complete their mission, which is to share a different relationship template with other souls. Now, before they find each other, they both will have catalysts along the way that will pull them to release what's in the way of them actually stepping into the divine feminine or the divine masculine roles and come into unity. Now, there's so much more I can share on the twin flame journey, especially because I chose this path. However, for this video, this is all you need to know. The reason a soul chooses to split into two bodies is because it can experience more things, learn its lessons faster, and grow and evolve at a much rapid pace. And if you know me, I'm all about growing and evolving as fast as possibly. Um, and it makes sense that I would choose this path for myself. And if you don't choose to be a twin on a twin flame path, then your love life will be less transformational this lifetime. Now I say less transformational because again, you're here to um learn things from other people, and again, you made those contracts beforehand, so I say less transformational and less intense. However, that does not mean that you're not going to have childhood tribulations along the way. Now, as you're planning your life, you choose which year you will be born in, and you can pick any year. Yes, you can even go back in the past because 5D reality actually works really, really different than in 3D. Okay. You'll pick your name and you will encode the life lessons you wanted to learn this lifetime, as well as the career you wanted to have, where and when you'll meet certain people who will help you learn these lessons, which are the soul's contracts, and much more. Okay, you will encode all of this in your astrological birth chart. You also choose your name at birth and any potential other names or nicknames you will have during this lifetime. So if you're a female, you will choose your um, name at marriage if you're going to change your name to his last name or not, and all that. So all that is going to be chosen here. You also choose the day, month, year, time of birth and place of birth, so you can eventually decode your birth chart and remember the lessons you came here to learn this lifetime. Okay, that is why it's so important. It's so, so crucial to know your day, month, year, time, and place of birth. Okay, a lot of people that come to me, they're like, well, I don't have my time of birth. Well, you're going to have to be creative and get in some way, shape, or form. And that's either talking to the mom and narrowing it down to a few hours or a few minutes. Within that hour, either going to or calling the hospital that you were born in. And some of the states, if you're in the US, apparently you can actually put in for a birth chart. I'm not sure, it depends on every state, but you can ask, I think it's like a long form birth chart, but you can go and figure that out because the time is very, very important. Okay. If I don't have a time and you want, reading from me, for example, if I don't have the time, I can only give you part of your story. Okay. And anything else that you don't know, well, you're gonna, do that next lifetime. Okay. So you'll also be assigned guides who will help guide you during the time you incarnate on Earth. Now, some of these guides are permanent and some of them come in and out depending on what you're going through at that specific moment. Okay. However, just know that even if you cannot see anywhere with your physical eyes, okay, know that they are there to guide you. Okay. Now, the second step in this reincarnation loop is the hangout. Okay. Now I'm going to give you an actual example because I remember hanging out and just waiting to be born. Okay. So I was doing a session, I think it was on myself. Yeah. So I was doing a session on myself and I was releasing some of the things with someone that came into my life and it was really really heavy, so I was releasing this and I started to see myself up in the clouds with this person. Now when I see energies, I don't see a physical body. It's literally like an energy shape of a person, but it's all white. So that's how I know it's an energy form, and I don't know the form that that person took this lifetime. However, I know the feeling and I know that it was him. So it was basically me and him before the lifetime, and we were planning everything out and all that. Um, and then it was his time to go and be born. And I remember, because he's born in 87, so from 87 August up until 90, 1990 January, I remember being right there with him. Like um, I remember being there at his birth, being there for his, you know, first years of his life. Like I could see him as a little toddler. But I also could see in his eyes that he would, um, the more time that passed and the more that he grew up, the more he forgot who I am. And that was the portion that hurt really, really badly. So that's one of the things that I was working on in that moment when I saw that. And then when it was my time to be born, again, I gets me up in the cloud and I see his 5D self because we have a 5D reality and we have a 3D reality, okay? So I see his 5D self and he's like, I never left. Like, you think that I left you, but I'm still here. Like, I never left. So that was a huge eye opener for me to know that even if physically we're not together, energetically we are. So that was a huge eye opener for me. And it was in that hangout period that we had after we went and created the soul conscious for this lifetime and all that. So that was really, really interesting. This is how I know that a hangout exists because of this experience that I've had. Now, there are rules for being a soul on earth. And the first big rule is called the veil of forgetfulness. Okay. Now, this veil is like a cover that makes us forget who we really are and all the things we've done as a soul before coming to earth. Okay. So basically, after the hangout period is over, you have to forget everything. And we talked about this in the life planning. That's why you encode everything in astrology. That's like, um, you have your, oh, what do you want me to call it? It's like a safe place, like a safe house. Like it's like your little safe where you put everything in there and you know it's there, and then you forget everything. Okay. And your soul isn't just living one life on earth. It's like an octopus with a head and many arms. Okay. Each arm is part of your soul exploring different lives and places at the same time. Okay. But we're going to stick to Earth for now to keep things simple. And when your soul comes to Earth, it agrees to follow the rules here. And one of the rules is the veil of forgetfulness. This means you don't remember your past life or where your soul came from, but where something cool is going to happen is even though you don't remember, your higher self, the soul part of you, knows everything. It's your lower self, your body, mind, or personality that has the veil. Okay. So the veil of forgetfulness is important because it helps your soul grow faster. When you don't remember your past lives, you get to try new things and have fresh experiences. Without the veil, you might just do the same things over and over and over again. Okay. And no growth can come from that. But with the veil, you can explore new ways of living and learning, which makes your soul grow stronger and wiser. Now, here's an example. Okay. Imagine, you know, someone is writing with their right arm. Okay. And they've been writing and writing and writing with their right arm for their entire lives. And suddenly something happens and you can't write with that right arm anymore. Okay. And then you have to learn how to write with the left, right? So this is a new experience that adds to what you can do and it makes your soul grow. Okay. That's like what the veil of forgetfulness does to your soul. It lets you try new things and gain new experience to help you grow. Now, not everyone's veil is the same. Some people, like kids who remember past lives, have a very thin veil. Okay. This might be because they have a very important mission or are very old souls. And as you spiritually grow, your veil can also get thinner. Okay. Now, if you've seen those videos on YouTube about kids remembering past lives, that's actually one of the things that started me down the possibility of having past lives around 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm like, this is interesting. Um, and also another person that remembers their past lives really, really well, his name is Matias de Stefano. So if you don't know who that is, I highly encourage you to go and uh, listen to some of the talks that he does, especially in the Aubrey Marcus podcast. And not only, but whenever he talks about past life, like he can really, really go back into times before Egypt and he shares what happened in there and he remembers Atlantis and all that. So it's quite interesting. And there are more and more people waking up right now. Now, I also remember some of my past lives. However, and I'm going to get into this, um, it's not my mission to remember as much as he did. Okay. So now, the example that I shared earlier with you, I was able to see what I was doing while I was waiting to be incarnated because I was ready to see it. Okay. And I'll share some more past life memories as we continue this conversation. However, I just wanted to give you an example. Okay. Remembering these past lives helped me heal and grow. And once I didn't need those memories anymore, the veil becomes stronger again. Okay. Now, another reason we don't remember past lives is that our soul blocks these memories until we are ready. Okay. Your soul won't show you something until you're prepared to handle and heal from it. Okay. Um, for example, I'll share a story of how I actually had my first past life regression. So, I was in a seminar, and the seminar leader just said the word witch. That's all she said. In that moment, what had happened is that I started seeing some images in my mind, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck is happening to me. And my head started to hurt really, really badly. And my third eye was starting to hurt really badly. And I was crying because there was just so much emotion there. So, what I was seeing is that it was a platform made out of rocks and dirt. And on top of that, there was a stick, not a stick but a very like heavy wooden beam, and I was tied to that wooden beam. And then it went back and forth between that and this image that I had of it's like I was laying down somewhere, and the only thing that I could see, so I was on my right side laying down, and there was a puddle right next to my eyes, and that's what I could see. And I could see a bicycle wheel and a man on it just leaving, and I was like left there. And it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between the two. And I couldn't see much more than that, but I know in the first one that I was a witch and I was actually about to get burned at the stake because of that. And the second one, I didn't have any knowledge on that. So it just went back and forth between these two images, and I could feel um the anger. I could feel the sadness. It just came through and it came through and it came through. And I had to message the people that I was in the group with, like, hey, can you just take over? Because um I was on Zoom, I was on camera, and my group could see me. Um I don't know. I didn't message anyone. I just left the bathroom and I just closed myself in the bathroom. I trying to figure some things out because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like, what is happening to me? It took a moment to just let those feelings come out, and then I actually reached out to someone that I knew could have some connection to past life and she could probably help me, and she actually referred me to someone else. And when we started working together, it was a past life that it was coming through and all that. And as we kept on working together, um the images started to get clearer and clearer, and I got more of the story and more of the story and more of the story. And that story is now really, really huge, and I'm not going to share the entirety of the story. However, in that going the back and forth, there were actually two different lifetimes, two different past lives that were coming through at the same time. That's why I didn't know what was going on there. Um, but the more that we work together, that the more I could dissociate, and I could go into each one of them separately, because it did feel like it was two separate lifetimes, but it did had to do a lot with what it is that I was going through this lifetime. So I could definitely see the correlations between past lives that I have lived and what was happening in my lifetime. And it made a lot of sense. Like, oh, this is happening because I've, you know, went through this in a past life, and now again it's here so I can heal it. So that's called a spontaneous past life regressions. Now, since then, I have been able to go through my Akashic records, which is the records of your soul, and we all have access to it. Um, and that is the more controlled way of asking for um, an answer. And I have been able to go through that as well. I just wanted to let you know there are two ways of doing it. So when your soul is ready, you are going to be shown your past lives, okay? And this came after a year of very, very deep work and letting go of everything that was piled on top of that past life, because now I wanted to be healed, okay? Um, Now, again, when this first started, I remember bits and pieces of what happened in that past life, but it's not the full story. Um, and after I wasn't only healing that, but after I kept on healing other things, that's when, more information came um to me. And I'm saying all this because I don't want you to believe that, oh, I'm gonna see all my past lives in 1 month. No, you're not ready for it, and you're only going to get bits and pieces of what it is um that you are ready to do that. Okay. Um so my soul would have not been able to handle at that moment everything that was in that past life, because yes, I was born at the stake, but I could see why. I could see what I wanted to do and how other people perceive me. So my soul was not able to give me all of that in one shot, because I still needed to heal other things in between, and then it gave me another version of healing, like, okay, now heal this. Then again, I healed that and everything else in between. Okay, now heal this. And it kept on taking me back to that past life, as well as it showed me other past lives that it wanted me to go to heal. So again, if you're curious or worried about remembering past lives, know that your soul will only show you what you're ready to see and heal. And my mom frequently asks me, like, when am I going to be able to, see my past lives? And I always let her know that whenever she is ready, she is going to start remembering them. However, she's not there yet. Okay. And I always encourage her to keep on releasing those limiting beliefs and stories that don't serve her highest good anymore, because that's the way that I started to go into my past lives. And that's the way I encourage her to do it. Now, you've got to remember that your soul has lived many lives, maybe hundreds or even thousands, and you won't remember all of them. Okay, you only access the ones that you stated in your life planning, okay, that you wanted to heal this lifetime. So the veil of forgetfulness isn't a bad thing. It's here to help you have new experience and grow as a soul. And when you're ready, your soul will guide you to the memories you need to heal and move forward. Okay. Now, the third phase is avatar programming. And in the avatar programming stage, your soul has to do a lot of work in the very beginning. That's starting even before you're born. And this all happens while you're growing in your mom's belly. Now, during this time, your soul visits the little body that's forming. It checks in again and again, helping to set things up and decide if it's ready to stay. Now, this is because even though many things are planned before you're born, plans can change once you're down here on Earth. Okay. Now, why would your soul change its mind? Well, things don't always go exactly as you would expect down here on Earth. And your parents might face challenges or forget the special plans they made with your soul before you were born. And that's okay, because the soul knows that life can be tricky down here. And if things don't work out, it's not a big deal for the soul. Okay. In the first few months of the pregnancy, the soul works extra hard to prepare your body and life. It programs the body, um, which means that it's setting up some things that you're going to use when you're born. Okay. But at the same time, it's also deciding if it wants to stay for this lifetime or wait for another chance. Okay. Now, I've done a lot of work when I was in the womb area. And I remember very, very vividly being afraid for my life because my dad didn't want me. Okay. And I was questioning if I should stay or I should go. And the more recent session that I had in the womb, I was so, so mad at him because he almost didn't want to fulfill what it is that we're going to say that we're going to work in this lifetime. And it's interesting because in the past life, I have been his mother, he has been my mother. Like, we've been trying to work these things out for quite some time now. So I was really, really pissed off and upset that he would not remember, what we came here to do this lifetime. So that was quite an interesting experience. And that is also why some pregnancies don't go all the way until the end. It's often because the soul isn't ready to stay just yet. And there are two big reasons why your soul does so much work while you're in your mom's belly. First of all, you're surrounded by water. Okay, water is special because it helps energy flow really well. And your soul can send down lots of information to your body while you're floating in water. It's like the water helps your soul do its job better. For example, the download that I had, like the past, not the past life, but the in between life memory that I had in the hangout period, I was able to access that when I was in the bathtub, like I was actually taking a bath. And I've seen that I either have past life memories or future memories in the bathtub. Okay, like I could see the future when I'm in the water, which is really, really interesting. And then things actually happen the way that I see them. Like I see them, and then weeks, months later, it happens. And I'm like, oh my God, like that actually happened. So that is because I'm in water, and water helps the connection flow through easily. And two, second reason, is that you don't have an ego yet. And an ego is that part of your mind that thinks about me and mine. Like, what about me? And, what am I going to get out of this? Okay. It can sometimes get in the way of what your soul wants you to do later in life. But when you're in your mom's belly, you don't have an ego yet. So your soul can work without any interruptions. Now, at first, all the information is coming from your soul to your body, kind of like downloading a program into a computer. Later, as you grow, it will become a two-way connection where your body and soul can share information back and forth. Okay. You can reach that level. Not all the people do. Okay. Now, the next phase is birth and life. Okay. At the moment of your birth, your life purpose is already encoded within you, and it's going to act like your inner compass. Okay. And you also have it externally in your astrological birth chart. However, on top of your life purpose, so you want to think of it like this, okay? Life purpose is here, okay? On top, you already come with baggage from the lineage that you choose to incarnate it. Okay. So life purpose here, baggage from lineage over here. Okay. From 0 to 7, this is where you're highly influenced by external people or circumstances. And this is when your personality or programs get formed. And usually this is around mom and dad. Okay. So if you find yourself acting like your mom or talking like your dad, this is why. Okay. So now you have life purpose, lineage baggage, and 0 to 7. Okay. And on top of all of that, you also have life experiences from 7 years old until your current age. Okay. So all of that is on top of your life purpose. Now think about it like this. Let's say that your life purpose is like, a little treasure box, and it's buried on top of all the generational baggage, the programming you went through 0 to 7, and all the life experience that you have. Okay, until now. And truth be told, it's not going to be easy digging through all that crap to find your life purpose. It's not. Okay. But will it be worth it? Absolutely. It's absolutely worth it. Okay. And I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't have the courage to face my biggest challenge in life, which is me. Okay. Now, as you go about your life, two things might happen. You might eventually take an inventory of your life, see that it's, the same old boring waking up, going to a job, come home, eat, sleep, and repeat. And you might start asking yourself, is there more to life than this? Or something will happen in your life that will shake you up badly, like the death of a loved one, losing a job, a breakup or divorce, losing a child, a serious illness, and anything else along those lines. And that's when you start looking for answers. Now, astrologically, we all have these like what the fuck wake up moments, okay? To make sure that we're on track, okay? So the first like wake up call is around 28 to 31. And we all have this built into us, okay? And I'll share what happened between 28 to 31 for me, so you can get an idea of how this could pan out. So by the age of 28, I was actually living in Uruguay. So originally I'm from Romania. I moved to Uruguay, and I was doing really, really good for myself. I had a stable job and all that. At 28 years old, almost 29, I quit my job, and I moved to the US. And it took a while to get my a green card and all that, so I couldn't necessarily find work. But when I did find work, that didn't last for a very, very long time because, well, 2020 happened. Okay. And in April of 2020, even if COVID didn't happen, I would have still had to go back to Colorado because of my ex-husband has a military background, so we were ordered to go back there. Okay. So I still had to quit my job. So 2020 came around. Now I'm in Colorado. I have no work. I have no clue what to do. And I'm thankful that I was able to live off of my savings for quite some time. So I find something that I can do online in September 2020. However, in January of 2020, which was actually for my birthday, I woke up with a burning sensation in my chest. And I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room because I didn't know what the heck was going on with me. Okay. Now I know based on what they diagnosed me with back then that it was um heartburn. And heartburn energetically from an energetic perspective means fear. And I had 100 things that I could be, afraid of in that moment. Like, didn't have stability. I knew that we were probably going to go back to Colorado. I didn't want to leave, but I didn't want to leave my husband. So there was a lot of things going on for me in that moment. And after that, after all that, there was still turmoil in the relationship and all that. Like he said, it's going to be different, and it wasn't. Then we experienced back in North Carolina when he was going through the training, and it wasn't. Um, so yeah, their relationship didn't pan out because in March of 2022, I actually sat down with him and I'm like, you know what? I'm not what you want in a relationship, and you are not what I want in a relationship, and it's probably best that we part ways. And that's exactly how I talked to him. And I told him like, you know what? I'm tired of trying to be what you want and end up hating and resenting myself, so I'm just gonna go. Um, and it's between that 28 to 32 period that my life really imploded. Um, and that's because Saturn is here to, wake you up, and you are going to discard everything that's not meant for you. It's not serving you in that time frame. Okay. Now, I want to encourage you to pause this video and allow yourself to go back between 28 to 31 and write down what happened to you around that time. Okay. And once you're done, you can come back to this video. Okay. Now, assuming that you're now remembering what happened between 28 to 31, this is your first Saturn return period. Okay. So when you're born, Saturn was at a specific place in your astrological birth chart. Okay. And it takes around 28 to 31 years for it to get back to the exact place that it was when you were born. Okay. And again, Saturn's job is to purge everything that doesn't serve you anymore. And from my personal example, okay, my Saturn was in the third house in Capricorn. And the third house is Gemini, and Gemini deals with the intellect and all forms of communication, like written, spoken, audio, video, social media, and so on. And Capricorn is the house of the career. So when my Saturn return hit at 28, I quit my job again, and I moved to the US, right? That's the Saturn return in Capricorn. And then again, I had issues with the job and I couldn't get a job, right? Now, um, also, it was quite interesting that his Saturn return was at the same spot. So his Saturn return was in Capricorn as well. So what happened to him is that he got kicked out of the military. Okay. So he got kicked out of the military, and it was interesting because he went through all the training and he was just waiting to get his diploma. Like literally, that's it. Waiting to get his diploma. So it's quite weird that he got kicked out in that period. But again, it makes sense from an astrological perspective that is the Saturn return. Um, so also in that time frame, I couldn't communicate from an authentic place to save my life. Because again, it's in the third house for me, and that's the house of communication. Okay. I could literally be crumbling inside and pretending to be okay. Okay. This also happened at work as well as home. And at work, I pretend to be okay, but then I would, go into the bathroom and cry my eyes out. And I also made sure that I did it quietly so no one could hear me. Okay. Um, so that's quite interesting to see what happened in that period and, related to astrology. And this is why it's so important to know the house and the sign that your Saturn is in. And again, if you want an astrological reading, you can book one with me, and I'll leave the link below in the chat for that. Okay. And the way that I approach astrology is way different, and I focus on what lessons you came here to learn this lifetime, so you don't have to repeat them in the next lifetime. And again, upon request, I can share what you wanted to experience in the wealth and career area, as well as in the love and relationships. The other thing that I can focus on is seeing what soul contracts you made with the people in your life, so you can fulfill those soul contracts and don't have to move them to the next life. Okay. These are just some of the services that I offer, and if any of them piqued your interest and you're interested to see what else I offer, then look for the description below, because I will leave the link in there. Now, astrology is one way to awaken to your purpose, and I've seen people have rude awakenings if they are not ready to hear it. However, if you start asking yourself, is there more to life than 9 to 5 job? That's a sign that you're ready to start uncovering the reasons you came on earth. Okay. And you will feel that you have a purpose. And then, so the next question is going to be, well, what is my purpose? Okay. Well, your first task is to dissolve or to heal all of the limiting beliefs or stories that are piled up on top of your life purpose, and it's keeping you from knowing what your life purpose is. Okay. Now, remember the analogy of the little treasure box and all that shit piled up on top of it, generational, 0 to 7, and lifetime? That's what I'm talking about. That all of that needs to be dissolved. Okay. Um, and we all have different purposes, and you cannot dissolve everything on top of it without a physical body. Okay. So that is an overall mission for every soul that chooses to incarnate. Okay. You've got to dissolve whatever you put on top of your life purpose to be able to then figure out what your life purpose is, and then continue to heal and grow and evolve as you go after your life purpose. Okay. Because every time you're going to go after something that you want, your past is going to come up and be like, we're not doing that because of X, Y, and Z. So again, this is a never-ending cycle. Okay. And that's the myth that I want to talk about, that people sometimes say, well, I've healed this. I'm all healed now. No, no, you're not. Okay. And that's coming from a very egotistical perspective, because your ego wants to be, oh, I'm done. I'm all healed. I can, um, I'm all that now. No, you're not. And you're not healed. Okay. You just have a very inflated sense of ego that you are going to attract circumstances that are going to, take you down a peg. However, I want you to understand that you came here to heal. And I want you to start thinking of yourself as an onion. Okay. So what does an onion do? Well, an onion has layers. Okay. Layers upon layers upon layers. Okay. So when you release a layer, what you're going to see in an onion, well, there's another layer in there. Okay. Then you release another layer, there's another layer in there. And this is how I want you to think about your journey here on Earth as an onion. Once you release a layer, there's going to be another layer. Do you have to go into that layer right now, right one after the other? No, not necessarily. However, you did came here to go through all the layers that are stopping you from, doing what it is that you came here to do this lifetime, first of all, and learn all the lessons that you wanted to learn along the way. Okay. So if you hear that anyone tells you that, oh, I've healed all my trauma, I've healed all of my, triggers and all that in the past, run because they have no clue what they're talking about. And people that are on this journey know that it's a never-ending journey. And eventually, you are going to surrender to that fact. And again, it's going to be a really interesting battle with your ego to let yourself just know that, hey, I'm here to keep on letting go. Okay, I'm not here to hold on to any things from the past that don't resonate with me anymore. So just be mindful of who you associate with because, again, if they're telling you, hey, I'm all healed, you'll be like, no, no, you're not. So anyone, for me, personal example, anyone that tells me that, I'm like, okay, thank you, goodbye. I know that you're not my person. Okay. Now, I also wanted to give you a summary of how I discover my life purpose. However, just know that what I'm about to share with you, there are many, many, many more details involved in here that I will leave out on purpose, okay? Because they won't be relevant to what we're talking about, okay? However, I might actually shoot some videos and explain some of the challenges that I've had and how I faced them so you can understand that you're not alone and possibly give you like, cheat code on how to handle certain situations. Okay. So let's go back to my Saturn return. Okay. Where, I didn't have a job, a relationship was in shambles, in a lot of debt. And then I'm like, well, everything has one thing in common, which is me. So I started looking at me basically and what it is that was there. Now at that time I didn't know that, that was my silent return, and that was what was prompting me to start doing a lot of inner work and shedding all these layers and dissolving everything. So I just worked on two different events. One was 3 days long and one was 7 days long. And when I came back from the one that was 7 days long, I just went in there with one question, like, what can I do to improve my relationship with my husband? And from there I understood that this person is not for me and it's best that I go. And this is when I had the conversation with him like, hey, this is what you want. Whenever I start being that person, I hate myself and I'm not willing to do that anymore. So this is when the split happened. Now, also after all that release, and it was interesting because I was working on stuff with my dad, but it also helped me in this. So after that was released, I started feeling a pull to LA. Now, why would I feel a pull to LA? I have no clue whatsoever. I don't know anyone for there. I don't have any relatives in there. So that was a very, very scary time for me to be pulled to somewhere I've never been before. And it's like, no, you've got to come here. So naturally, instead of me being, following that, I was still very, very afraid. So I chose to go the opposite way to Tennessee. And in there, again, at the end of 2022 in December, I went to a 10-day like personal development class. And it was in that moment um where I actually went through the breakthrough experience, which is something that Dr. DeMartini does. And someone put on that for us in these 10 days that my mentor, my mindset coach, he's actually training this, and he came and sat down with me at lunch one time, and he was just talking to another person, And he said that he got certified to, teach and coach this in LA. And that's the moment that I started having tears in my eyes. Like, oh, that's a reason why it wants me to go there. So it's starting giving me all the reasons why I'm drawn to LA. I started to have a lot of clients from California, either up or down the coast. It didn't matter. But I was starting to notice all the synchronicities that was pulling me to LA. Um, and after I finally released all the things that I was afraid of, I got to move to LA. And the moment that my foot touched LA soil, I felt like home. And just the moment that I crossed that border from Arizona into California, it felt like home. It's very, very different. It's very, very different. And every time I leave LA, minus the time I went to Hawaii, which is interesting, every time I leave to LA somewhere else, I feel like something's off. Like no. But every time I come back to California or LA, even like when I drove from California to Vegas, the moment I cross the border to Vegas, like something's off. Okay, so it's a pull. It's pulling me to be in LA. And then the next thing was, when that seminar leader spoke, the word witch, and it got me to a spontaneous life, past life regression. And this is how I found my coach that helped me go through that. And now I know how to do that as well. And as I kept on seeing that I need more people that helped me understand these past life things, I started attracting, I didn't know up until then who these people were, but on my YouTube feed, it's starting to attract people like Christina Lopes, which she does past life regressions, and Matias De Stefano, which again, he's the one that remembers the universe and the creation and all that. So it started to give me information. Why? Because I was ready to receive it. And in one of her videos, Christina Lopes mentions the North Node in astrology, which is a term that I've never heard up until then. And I started researching it and I started reading about my North Node and I'm like, oh my God, this is me to a T. This explains why I am pulled to serve humanity because my North Node is Aquarius, so I'm pulled to serve humanity. This is why I've gone through everything that I've gone in my life, and it made a lot of sense when it explained everything. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why. Oh my God, this is why. Um, And as I kept on, again, releasing and all of that, I started to have future memories, not only after I came to LA, but way before I came to LA. Then I started to look into soul contracts and I started to see how people in my life actually, we have contracts together and all of that. So, um, I've also started to see how people, repeat in my life because they wanted me to learn some different things, and just going from one to another to another to another to another to another, as I kept on releasing what didn't serve me. Now, fast forward to today, I know exactly why I'm here, and I know exactly what it is that I came to do this lifetime. Um, and that's number one, because once you understand who you are and what you came here to do, then you're like, okay, now let's go and do it. Okay. So once you start to remember, okay, the word remember is to put back parts of you. Okay. So remembering yourself together or something like that. Okay. Um, I like to call it remembering. I like to call it integrating all the parts of you that you disowned. Okay. And we come here with a lot of disowned parts, especially when we're admiring someone. You're looking up at them and saying that what you see in them, you don't also have in you. So you put yourself down on a pedestal, okay, by default. And whenever you put someone, you put yourself down in a pit. So whenever you put yourself down in a pit, you are admiring someone, okay? And this is most common with, women admiring other women's bodies. Really common. Okay. Not only, but really common. Just an example that came to my mind. Now, when you're resenting someone, you're putting them in the pit and you on a pedestal saying, I'm not like them. Yes, you are, because we're all equal. We all have all the traits all the time. Okay. And I am going to go into this in other videos, but not right now. But I just wanted you to know that everyone that you admire or resent, okay, that is a disowned part. Okay. Um, and the more that you own the parts of you that you disowned, okay, then a new communication will be established with your higher self in the universe. Okay, whatever you want to call it. But now is when I can ask something of my higher self, and if it's given, I can ask and it's given. And it's quite interesting to have this new relationship with myself. Okay. And here's the thing, we all have this ability. We all have it. However, the path to achieve this is probably not going to be easy. And all the clients that I've worked with so far, they had to let go of some of quite interesting things. Okay. Now, the next phase in here is the death process. Okay. And I want you to understand that we are made of two parts. Okay, it's the mortal part, which is your body, and it's the immortal part, which is your soul. Okay, so again, we're both mortal and immortal. Okay, and you can see how this dynamic already starts to pan out. Okay, while we may have many bodies in different lifestyle, we only have one soul. Okay, so what happens during death? Well, the death process is when the soul prepares to leave the body. So this can take time, sometimes days or even weeks. For some, it happens faster, for other, it's slower. When you're alive, your soul is connected to your body. It programs the body and it fills it with energy, including your aura, which is your energy field, and chakras, which is your energy centers. And during death, the opposite happens. Your soul starts to unplug. Okay, your soul starts to pull all the energy and all the information that's gathered during your life, everything you've learned, felt, and experienced. Without the soul's energy, the body cannot function and it dies. Now, I want you to imagine a computer. Okay, when you remove all the programs and data onto an external drive, what's left? Well, that's just an empty machine. That's what happens to the body when the soul leaves. It becomes like an empty shell. Okay. Now, how long does the death process take? Well, even after the soul leaves the body, it might take some time for it to completely cross over or go back home. This crossing can take days or longer depending on the soul. Now, are all souls ready to go? Sometimes we wonder if people die too soon, but from a soul's perspective, it's never true. The soul decides when it's ready to leave. We cannot control when another soul leaves planet Earth. However, if our purpose is great enough, we might live longer because we have a greater cause and we want to stick around for it. Now, ever wondered why people that have been married for a long period of time suddenly die one after another? It's because one partner chooses to go for whatever reason, and the other one doesn't want to be on earth without them. Also, just because a soul leaves the body, that doesn't mean it crosses over. Okay? There are many reasons why souls would leave their body and choose not to cross over. And here are some of these reasons. It might have to do with revenge. And, if they left their body in a traumatized, violent way, okay, they're going to probably stick around to look for whoever did that to get justice, okay? Maybe they had a chemical addiction. Okay. Maybe the soul was addicted to a substance while on Earth. It could be cigarettes, it could be alcohol, it could be opium, it could be hard drugs, it could be even addiction to sex. So the soul needs their fix from a human body. It could be that they had taken their own life. And often they regret doing that and they don't feel worthy to cross over. They also might have emotional ties. So the soul can't cross over because their loved ones can cope with their passing and not feeling worthy. Perhaps they cheated, they stole, they hurt people. They just don't want to deal with someone that's already crossed over, or they're afraid that they're going to, go to hell. Okay. However, there's no judgment once they cross over, but it's because they heard their entire life that, if you're good, you're um, going to heaven. If you're bad, you're going to hell. Okay. So a lot of souls choose to stick around instead of crossing over just because of that reason. And when they stick around, they can actually inhabit other bodies and you'll attract them by your vibration. The lower the vibration, the more chances that you're going to be attracting them. For example, if you like to drink and party, then you will attract the disembodied spirits that did the same and they get to relive that through you. Now, there are multiple types of spirits behind the veil. However, for the purpose of this video, we will focus on disembodied spirits. Okay, so disembodied spirits again are spirits that had a body and chose to disengage from the body but did not choose to go into the light. Okay, and here are some ways that you can tell if you have a disembodied spirit hanging around you. Okay, you're gonna hear a lot of head chatter with negative voices. Okay, you're gonna either be constantly crying, depressed, or you're gonna feel a sadness that is not your own. You're going to have scattered thoughts or multiple contradicting views. You might think that you're not worthy to live, and you might want to, end your life. You might be sick for a long duration. There might be some paranoia going on, abnormal physical exhaustion, or you have a tendency to drink, party, or experience any chemical addictions, such as and not limited to cigarettes, alcohol, opium, hard drugs, and it could even be a sex addiction. So, whenever I work with clients and I go through that list, I make sure that they have the majority of the symptoms before I look for a spirit. Okay. If you have the majority of these symptoms, I highly recommend you schedule a complimentary discovery call with me. So we're 100% sure that this is the issue and it's not something else. Before we establish how we move forward, if we both align to, work with each other. And I'll leave the link for that below as well. Now, the service that I provide that helps disembodied spirits cross over is called the generational trauma and pattern healing. Okay, in case you wanted to read more about that. Now, I just want you to know that you are not alone. Okay, death can feel very scary to talk about, but there's something comforting. Okay, you're never alone during that process. Even if no one is physically with you, you are surrounded by love and support from your spirit guides, angels, and loved ones who have passed on. And many people have felt or noticed this when someone that they care about is dying. So what happens next? Well, after the soul gathers all the energy and information from the body, it returns to the spirit world. Then it reviews the life it just lived. And this is an important part of learning and growing as a soul. So the next phase is life review and life planning. Okay, remember the life planning that we started with? Here we go. So when your soul leaves the body after death, it takes all those experiences from that life and moves to the other side. Okay. The body dies, but the soul keeps all the lessons it learned. And one of the first things that happens is something called the life review. This is a big meeting where your soul looks back at your life. It checks what went well, what didn't go as planned, and how much you grew. But here's the thing, your soul doesn't see anything as bad. Okay? Even the tough stuff is useful because it helps your soul grow and evolve. During the life review, The soul asks, did I finish my life mission? Did I heal the pain I carry from past lives? How did I handle the twists and turns of this lifetime? Did I leave this life with peace and love or with guilt and pain? Okay, because again, how you exit life is also going to help prepare you for your next lifetime. Because if you leave in a very, very low vibration, well, you're going to have a very, very low vibrational life next lifetime. But if you leave in a very high vibration, you're going to have a very high vibrational life in next lifetime. Okay. So after the life review step, some souls choose to take a break and just hang out. Okay. So remember, life planning, hang out. Okay. This is where the soul rests between lives. Okay. Time doesn't work the same way here. So some souls may stay for a short while others for longer, and sometimes even hundreds of human years. Okay. Now, light workers choose to incarnate quicker because they're eager to help. Okay. Once the soul feels ready, it starts planning its next life. And this begins the reincarnation loop all over again. Okay. The soul doesn't just live one life at a time. It's so big and full of energy that it can have experiences in different places all at once. Okay. And I can share with you that I actually remembered uh living a life on another planet. Like I was taking a shower and I literally was shown these images and I'm like, well, this is definitely not from this planet. So I can tell you that that is actually absolutely true. So if you're ready to dive deeper into your soul's journey, heal old patterns, or step into your full potential, visit the website linked in the description to learn more about the services that I offer. Now, if this video resonated with you, please give it a like and a subscribe to my channel. The simple act of subscribing creates a transfer of energy, making it easier for me to connect with your unique vibration. And even if you don't leave a comment, this energy exchange helps me intuitively tune in to the collective challenges you might be facing and create content that speaks directly to your needs. Okay. Now remember, there's no such thing as time or space in the 5D. And this video has reached you at the perfect moment when your soul wanted to retrieve this information. Okay. And now it's your turn. What surprised you most about reincarnation? And if you feel called, share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you and I'll read all of your comments and go ahead and answer you. Thank you for being here and allowing me to be part of your journey, and I will see you next time.